I want to thank one of my subscribers, Conscious Mind Free Life, for sending this particular article. This came out in the New York Post, April 28th, 2018. Starbucks revenue takes hit over racial bias backlash. And this is exactly what should happen. So now Starbucks is getting the H&M treatment, and it should. Look, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to, again, I'm going to keep saying this. You look around at many of these businesses out here. The businesses that are provided in the United States are conveniencies, but not necessities. It's convenient to have a coffee shop, but it's not necessary because you can make coffee at home. And I would say the majority of the businesses out here are just that. They're conveniencies, but not a necessity. So let's get into this story. Too little, too latte. The Starbucks racial bias backlash may eventually be among the most expensive in the history of the fast food industry. The Seattle-based coffee chain is swiftly reacting to the sting public blowback that followed the controversial April 12th arrest of two innocent Black businessmen at a Philadelphia Starbucks. And its plan of action could cost millions of dollars, according to analysts. The chain intends to close more than 8,000 company-owned stores nationwide on May 29th for anti-racial bias classroom instruction for its 175,000 employees. And Starbucks may not be alone in having to close stores for expensive employee racial bias training programs to calm the public mood. Calls for the entire industry to have a do-over are predicted. Of course, there is going to be a boomerang effect, said Huey Newsom, an African-American conservative activist who sees other chains being ensnared by the same overhead cost as Starbucks. That's usually what happens. Other activists out there are going to expect other major chains to do something proactively like Starbucks. Yeah, whatever. I'm not weighing too much in on this training making that big of a difference. I think it's overkill closing Starbucks stores for an afternoon of training, Newsom, chief financial officer for the Flint City of Michigan, told the Post. If I am a shareholder and an African American, white, Asian, or whatever background, I am going to be furious at Starbucks. Industry bean counters say it'll take plenty of coffee sales to offset Starbucks' lost revenue on May 29th. And I agree with that. I agree with that. I can just see things getting worse for Starbucks. Estimates of the losses for the chain range from 6 million to as high as 30 million in missed sales during the closure time alone. That high figure is based on average sales of $37.50 a day at each location, is calculated by someone who closely watches the industry. We cannot confirm that number, a spokesman for Starbucks responded to the Post. Starbucks may not have to worry too long about losing market shares. McDonald's and other fast food chains may be the next targets for racial bias campaigners, according to Newsom and others. Starbucks Chief Executive Officer Kevin Johnson has also apologized, calling the Philadelphia incident reprehensible and the action of the employees not representative of our Starbucks mission and value. But you know what? He refused to fire her. Remember? I'm not going to forget that. I hope no one forgets that. Meanwhile, according to Tracker, YouGov, Brand index, Starbucks has slumped to its lowest consumer perception measure since November 2015, the last time it faced a major public relations crisis. In November 2015, Starbucks received backlash when it replaced its annual Christmas symbol of the season, cup designed, with a simple two-tone red cup, according to YouGov. Brand index. That's kind of silly. I heard about that. The current drop is about the same rate as the one in November 2015. Okay, Ted Marzilli, chief executive at YouGov, said some customers may have been tempted to skip their regular Starbucks cup last week in protest. McDonald's did not respond to requests for comments. So there you go. They are feeling the pain. And like I said, you don't have to have coffee at Starbucks. You can have coffee at home, plain and simple. And I urge, especially many of you that shop online, get some of the African coffees out there. There's a lot of good African coffees that you can drink every single day. And it's really good. It's good, rich, nice flavor coffee. You can go practically on any type of website and buy African coffee, and it's really good. You won't be disappointed. So, Starbucks look like they are suffering and feeling the pain in their wallet for what Holly Hilton did. And, this is what happens when you have people like that on your staff, because sooner or later, they're not going to be able to contain their racism and it's going to come out. And when it does come out, your whole brand is going to take a hit, just like it is now. So, Starbucks, was it worth it? Was it worth keeping a person like that around? Was it worth hiring somebody like that? And she had a long-standing track record of calling the cops on Black people. Now look at what's happening. All of this over one person. All of this over one person. And there were other people sitting in Starbucks at that time that did not make a purchase at all. And they've admitted it. So you can't even come, well, they should have ordered something. Well, so did everybody else that was sitting there that didn't order nothing. So you can't even use that anymore. That's now, that argument is now completely ripped away from you. But ladies and gentlemen, well done, and keep up the boycott against Starbucks permanently. Don't ever go back there. That's one thing we have to learn how to do. Whenever these businesses come out against us, when we've done nothing wrong, then the best way to get them is in their pockets. And H&M is still feeling the pain, and so is Papa John's. Keep up the good work, family. Please leave your comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell, and I will see you on the next video. Peace, family.